Okay guys, so you've already read the title, you've seen the thumbnail probably, you know what this video is about, so I'm not going to waste your time, we're going to get right into it. This is a 2018 Aprilia Tuono V4 1100 double R, I think, and not factory edition. That doesn't really matter. But so fun bike, lots of power. This is going to be very similar to my how to wheelie the MT-09 video. I'm basically going to show you the two different methods that most normal people use to pull wheelies, and I'm going to show you how to do it on this bike. Now, disclaimer, I am not a professional, so if you're seeking professional advice, I suggest you go look at, like, I don't know, Brian 636, Dank Wheelie, something like that. Also, another thing, I do not know how to scrape this bike. I'm not going to try to scrape this bike. I can get it up very close to balance point. I can't quite get it to balance point, so don't expect super slow first gear only wheelies. This is going to be just a standard how to wheelie video. Okay, first things first, I turned traction control off because, you know, I'm sure you can do a wheelie with it on. I am in sport mode. I do not know, I'm pretty new to this bike. I do not know the difference between the different modes. Like, I know there's sport, track, and I think one's called race. I don't know the differences between the modes, so I'm just going to stick in sport. That's what I'm used to. Launch control shouldn't matter. It's on 1, you can have it on 3, it doesn't really matter. Wheelie control, make sure you have that off, because if you have it on, what it will do is when you will try to pull a wheelie, if you have it set very low, you will get the wheel up, but not for long. And if you have it higher than that, the wheel's not coming up. ABS I have set on 1 just because that's where I like it. That shouldn't really matter unless you're scraping or really using your rear brake. But even then, it shouldn't matter too much. Let's fire this bad boy up. It sounds so good! Make sure whenever you practice, find a parking lot like this. Well, this technically isn't a parking lot, but old road that no one uses or something like that. Be safe, wear your gear, take it slowly, don't rip on it. The two different types of wheelies, I'll show you them. So generally most people, when they're first starting, this is what they do. They pull a power wheelie right off the rip, and that is with no clutch. So put it in first, no clutch whatsoever, just gas. Now power wheelies, while they are fun and there's nothing wrong with the power wheelie, if you're trying to have a controlled wheelie, you don't want to do a power wheelie. You want to do a clutch up, which is where you pop the clutch, you pull it in just for a half second, rev up and let it out. You don't do this. You don't go pull it in, rev up, and then dump. You don't do that. What you want to do is you just want to see how the bike kind of jumps when I do that. That's what you're aiming for. Don't try to pull a wheelie, just practice that until you feel it jump a lot, and then give it a little bit more gas. So it'll look something like this once you get it. Something like that. So you see a lot of people, especially on Instagram, pull a lot of power wheelies. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them. But if you can pull a clutch up wheelie, it's just so much better. Easy on the throttle. We're not giving it too much. I'm going to just go to here. That's all I did. Just, you saw, I did not give it hardly any throttle. Also, I have new front brakes on this bike, finally, because before, my front brakes, they were like 50% live, if not less. And I tried to do it, I was practicing endos and I could kind of do them, but the brakes were kind of weird. And then at one point they were like da, 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 when I went to go stop, and I was like, oh, that's not good. So I put new brakes on and it's perfect now. You can't even hear them or anything, just super tight. So make sure you're also not all the way forward like this on the seat. That is not great wheelie position. You don't want to be in the passenger seat either. You want to be in the middle, like sit where you're supposed to sit, and then wait, why am I saying that? My brain is weird, guys. Anyway, sit in your seat. Do not sit in the front part of your seat. If you can, sit in the back part. It helps with weight. So you can see I'm kind of in the back part. Do Do not pull on your handlebars unless you really need to. You should just be able to use your clutch. Also on this bike, first gear clutch ups, whoo, a little bit scary. I suggest you learn in second gear, especially if you have a leader bike. So we're going right. I'm not gonna pull, you're just gonna... You should be able to get the wheel up without pulling or putting any pressure on the handlebars. Only twisting the throttle and popping the clutch. Also, make sure you have your rear brake touching. Your brake not working. Anyway, make sure that your foot is on the rear brake. That way, when you're in the wheel, you can just pop, pop, and touch it. That way, you don't loop. If you feel like the wheelie is going way too high, touch your back brake. You will come down. And now you're gonna give it a little bit more gas. Just. Now, once the wheel comes up, assuming you don't immediately pop it to 12 o'clock, you should stay on the throttle a little bit more to get it up to the correct height. Once it's on the correct height, you can either, if you're chasing a wheelie out, you have to hold on to the throttle a little bit longer and run through the gears. If you're not chasing it out, you should be good right where you're at, maybe a touch more. Let's just practice some wheelies. You guys can watch my clutch work and throttle. On this bike, you really got to be careful with the power though. Do not loop it. Give it less power than you think. Okay, another thing, if you're using a quick shifter, make sure you shift it correctly, because sometimes if you do not use the quick shifter correctly in a wheelie and you just tap a little bit, you don't actually shift gears. Therefore, your bike immediately comes crashing down. Caught a mousetrap, and it is not good. It is not a good feeling. Now I'm going to show you guys second gear, just because that's probably what you're going to learn on, and that's what I like. Also, it's a little windy out, so you have to pardon me if my wheelies go zigzaggy. Okay, you saw that one? That one got a little bit wobbly. That was pretty good. Woo! Woo! Oh, butterfly! Really easy to do. Doesn't take too long to learn. Once you get it, it's so much fun, so easy. I hit balance point. That was scary. That'll get your heart rate moving. My wontons hurt. Obviously, I do not recommend learning to wheelie on a leader bike. That's a bad idea. But if you were one of those guys who bought a leader bike as their first bike because, you know, horsepower sad boy speed vibes, then good luck. Oh, I love this bike so much. It sounds so good too. I'm gonna bonk the sign. Bonk.